Promotion. It's an important and emotive subject. Who'll be selected this year? What are the deciding factors? How impartial is the system? And actually, how does it really work anyway? I'm Sophie Long, and in this programme I'm going to be finding out what happens when an officer is presented to a Royal Air Force Promotion Board. I've come to Headquarters Air Command at RAF High Wycombe to visit Manning, where the promotion selection boards take place. The first stage of the process is pre-boarding, and I've come to talk to one of the desk officers, Squadron Leader Darren Arch, to learn more about what's involved. Darren, hi.
Hi Sophie, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem. Shall we...
Well, as you can see, we've come somewhere a little quieter to talk about promotion and promotion boards. And Darren, because candidates don't appear in person before them, there is an air of mystery about how it all works. So just give us, if you can, an overview of the whole process.
Certainly. The promotion board will make its decision based on the evidence presented to it. This evidence comes in the form of an OJAR that will be received electronically at Manning, and the desk officer will review what's in it. Those people that are considered eligible for promotion will go forward to the promotion selection board, and it's their job to rank the guys in merit order. And those people that finish sufficiently highly on that merit order list will be offered promotion in accordance with service needs.
You mentioned OJAR then. Just explain what that is for people who aren't familiar with that.
It's the Officers' Joint Appraisal Report, their annual report.
Well, that all sounds very thorough. Let's start at the beginning. Let's talk about pre-boarding. Tell us what that involves.
In short, the idea is that we're trimming down the field for those that are going to be put forward for promotion. If we look at the number 4 air board, there's around 1,700 candidates, of which pre-boarding will thin this down to around 300, 350 candidates that will go forward to the promotion selection board for consideration.
So what grading system do you use?
The grading system is based on the evidence in the report. The desk officer will read every report on his desk and he'll award the candidate a grade. For those people that he considers are competitive for promotion on this board, he'll award them an A grade. For those candidates that are narrowly missing an A grade but are still competitive, he'll award them a B+. And then we'll clump the A's and the B pluses together, and they'll go forward to the promotion board as read candidates. Those people that are eligible for promotion, but perhaps not on this board, will be awarded a B grade, and those that for some reason are not eligible for promotion yet will be awarded a C grade. The B's and C's won't be read by the promotion board.
So that's clearly a crucial step. How do you decide which candidates get which grades?
First of all, it's the individual's overall competitiveness. And I think it's important to note that this isn't the overall performance grade that he gets on his report. This is a general feeling from the desk officer across the board.
So they'll be taking into account your track record?
Absolutely. The individual needs a proven reporting history of positive attributes, both in performance and potential. If he's an aviator, he needs to prove that he's above average in the air. And of course, he needs to have mastered his own specialisation.
But how do you measure a candidate's potential?
It is tricky, but it's left down to the individual's reporting chain to comment on their suitability for 1 rank and 2 ranks up. Now, it's essential that the individual gets a positive promotion recommendation for 1 rank up to be competitive for promotion. It's not essential that he gets a positive recommendation for 2 up. However, what it does do is give a good indication to the board of an individual's potential beyond the next rank.
So it's about evidence of skill and your track record, and I imagine also your personal qualities.
It's important to have a positive record of personal qualities as well. The most important of those is leadership, which goes without saying it needs to be above average. In addition to which, the individual needs to have shown involvement in the wider service area and, of course, a willingness to undergo further training.
Now, because everything depends on the reports, what elements are you looking for in the narrative?
The narrative needs to be factually correct, it needs to be evidence-based, and of course it needs to be submitted on time. And I think it's also worth mentioning that the individual needs to take ownership of his own report and needs to enter dialogue with the first RO to make sure that everything he's done in that reporting period is captured within the report. He needs to make sure that the objectives are completed on JPA and that his preferences for next appointment are also accurate, because these will be used to populate the report.
And how important are other factors like age and gender?
That's a good point. The age, the gender and the race of the candidate is irrelevant to the promotion board in accordance with the service's equal opportunities.
And once you've categorised all the candidates, what then happens to the list?
Well, for the desk officer, our work is, as far as the reports are concerned, is almost complete. What we'll do is send that list of competitive candidates to the promotion selection board, and it's up to them to decide who's going to be promoted or not. And we'll just sit back and await the decision along with everybody else.
Darren, thank you. So, from what Squadron Leader Arch has told us, pre-boarding is an essential part of the filtering process. It reduces the number of candidates, so the board only read the most competitive candidates for promotion. I'm going to speak now to the board president to find out about the next stage of the process.
Good morning, gents. I'm Group Captain Tony Radcliffe, President of the No. 4 Ground Promotion Selection Board. Before we start reading the sample candidates, I thought it worthwhile talking through some of the admin arrangements for this board.
So tell us, Tony, first of all, about the board itself. Who's on the board and who is making all those important decisions?
I'm the board president, and that's always the case, that the president is a member of the manning organisation. I'm supported by 3 board members, independent to the manning organisation and selected from the wider element of the Air Force. Of those 3 members, one of them will always be a subject matter expert linked to the cadre of officers we're looking to select from. And between us, all 4 of us, we make the decisions. We're supported by a presenting officer who will present each candidate to us in turn, and that presenting officer will normally be a desk officer or a supervising officer from across the desk officers here in the manning organisation.
And what's the procedure for the selection process?
Well, first of all, we've got to decide whether the individual is promotable. So we'll decide whether to score the individual or perhaps award them a lower grade of B or exceptionally C. So the board will sit in silence, read the narratives and then decide whether to score the individual.
Right, sir, scores please. That's 2, 3, 2, 2, making a total of 9 points.
So your judgments then are based entirely on the narratives?
It's entirely on the narratives, and it's the evidence in those narratives that we're looking to base our judgment on. So it's important that the reporting officers capture entirely in that narrative the complexity of the job that the individual's having to perform, how well they've been performing, and the displays of leadership and potential to rise 1 and 2 ranks in order that we can make the decision to distinguish the individual from the rest of the competition.
And why is the potential to be promoted 2 ranks so important?
We're looking for future leaders, and we're looking to make sure that we can capture early the talent in an individual so that we can manage it accordingly. It's always important that the board gives appropriate feedback to the presenting officer so they can then advise individuals accordingly when they speak to them next.
And what if more than one candidate has the same score?
It's inevitable that candidates will score within the same banding given the numbers that we're looking at and the score ranges that we've got to work with. So what we have to do then is revisit those candidates that end up with the same scores, and we'll revisit them by looking once again at their reports, reminding ourselves of what it is they've done, how well they've done it, and then having to determine as a board again the merit order in which to place these people. So we will place them in an order that makes it apparent that one person has the slight edge over the next individual. It's important that we do this around the cusp of where we expect to cut off the promotion list for that particular year. So if there's people sitting, say, at 3 and 4 position with the same numbers, we will merit order them, but it's not as important as we merit order those people lower down the list where it might be that those people will be very close to being selected for promotion this year or not.
It must be difficult, though, distinguishing between 2 candidates with the same score.
It's enormously difficult, and that's why it's important that reporting officers take their role very seriously in honest assessment of what the individual's doing by giving us plenty of evidence in the report as how well they have done something, or indeed in the cases where they might not have done it to the very best of their abilities, which helps us to distinguish. And of course it's also important that the subject candidates display how well they have done things. And it's not just in the primary role, we're also looking perhaps in the secondary role as well.
And once you've compiled it, what happens to the merit order list?
Once we've got the full list compiled of all the candidates and all those people have scored, it goes to ACOS Manning, and ACOS Manning himself will review the whole board process and ensure that it's the whole being conducted properly, that we've done our job right, and then he'll sign it off. Then it gets passed over to the desk officers for them to make use of the list as they see fit.
And as president of the board, what advice do you have for those who are hoping this year to be promoted?
Well, the individuals need to be realistic in their expectations. Promotion is available to all those who perform well and show that they have done their jobs to the best of their ability, that they have, as I've mentioned before, the potential to rise to higher rank and the ability to lead at that next rank. So they've got to display that, and they've got to prove that to their reporting chain. Their reporting chain has then got to realistically assess that and record it through evidence-based reporting in the appraisals. But for the individuals, my advice is do the job to the best of your ability. It's important that you get a mid-term assessment with the reporting officer, listen to the advice given to them by the reporting officer and act on it. And come the end of the year, then the assessment should be exactly what the individual and reporting officer is expecting.
And how do officers find out how they've performed on the board?
It's the open door process, and candidates can contact the desk officer to find out how they fared on the promotion board. The desk officer, when acting as presenting officer to the board, will have been making notes based on the discussions that the board members have had after they've looked at each candidate. And so the desk officer will be able to give good advice to individuals, particularly to those that didn't score perhaps well enough to be promoted this year, in order to help them make themselves more competitive for future years. Clearly, if they've been scored well enough to be promoted in the year, then the good news is you've scored, wait and see, and then you'll hear from the next desk officer in the rank chain to advise you where you're going to go to next.
Hi, it's Squadron Leader Nigel Ibbotson, the ATC Desk Officer from Manning. I'd like to tell you the promotion selection board results for the Flight Lieutenant to Squadron Leader board. You've done very well, and I'd like to offer you the post of SATCO at RAF Linton on Ouse.
So we've followed the promotion process from beginning to end, and it's clearly designed to be as rigorous as possible. The appraisal is completed at unit level and is forwarded to Manning. It should contain evidence of an officer's performance and potential and be completed to the prescribed timelines. Additionally, it should only contain subject officer comments to correct errors of fact or highlight omissions by the first reporting officer. The relevant desk officer will pre-board the candidate by reading their appraisal, evaluating the evidence and deciding whether they'll be presented to the promotion board to be read. The promotion board will read a series of appraisals for each candidate, score them out of 9 points per member and place the candidates in merit order for promotion. In this programme, we've seen that everyone involved takes their role extremely seriously. The desk officers and members of the promotion selection board scrutinise the evidence from officers' appraisal reports to arrive at a fair score for the candidates based on the evidence they've read. The system is as impartial and transparent as it can be. Promotions are awarded purely on merit, and merit is judged on the basis not only of performance, but importantly, of potential for promotion.